Hey everyone, welcome to Motorcycology. My name is Jonathan. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it. So in today's video, I'm going to be revisiting the very first car that I bought when I was 25 years old. It's a 1987 Honda CRX, first generation DX. So I've owned it practically all my life. So right now I'm going to do a quick cleanup on it. And my goal is to do a series of restorations with this, which is going to be taking it from my parents' property and moving it to my property and eventually getting it up and running. So this thing is fully licensed, insured, and drivable. So I'm going to do a quick cleanup and then I'm going to take it for a ride. So stick around, enjoy the video, and let's get into it. So here's the car here. It's basically untouched. So I'm going to be doing a startup of it and then a clean of it. So I can tell you back in 1987 when I bought this brand new, it basically looked the same. So it's been kept in really great condition. It has all the original options that I bought on it and has never been in any accident or in anything like that. So it's in great shape, and let me just do a quick walk around here. And you know, I'm going to pull it out of this carport and I'm going to give it a wash as well. But before that, I'm going to try and start this thing. For those of you who like first generation CRXs, this one's a rare one. It's pretty sweet though. And I'll show you. So let's clear a little bit of stuff and let's crank this thing and see if we can get it started. That is the beautiful Harrow Strait from Vancouver Island heading towards the US. This version of the CRX had one key. That would be for the doors, the ignition, the glove compartment, and the hatchback. So let's bring this over. This car is 34 years old and it's all stock, it's all original, and it actually looks pretty good. So when you look at it, that's how it was when I got it when I was 27 years old. First car, and this baby is going to be redone to as close as new as possible. So that's going to be one of my projects if you're interested in these first generation CRX. Also, if you look close enough, you'll see some of the original stickers around the engine bay and on the engine as well. So let's crank it and see if we can get this thing going. This car has a carbureted engine, and it also has a manual choke, which is down here. And you have to pull the choke out in order to get the engine working. So if you know how manual chokes work, this is one of them. So I'm going to hop in there and try and get it going. That didn't take much. I didn't expect it to start up this easily. I started it a couple days ago and it flashed up pretty good, but today it just flashed up first time, and now it's just a matter of adjusting the choke to make sure that I get it down to a nice idle speed. Well, that was extremely easy to do. The last time I drove this was a few days ago, so I had to recharge the battery. I took it out for a run, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting it to start up this easily. When you put the choke valve in, it slows the engine down a little bit. I stalled it. So got to go back in and do it again. We'll let it warm up this time. So this Honda engine is a 4-cylinder, 12-valve engine. That's 3 valves per cylinder. So 2 intake and 1 exhaust with a cross flow system. It is 1,488 cc and has about 84 horsepower at 3,500 RPMs. It's got a fuel tank capacity of 10.8 gallons. Most of these cars are manual transmission. In my case, this is a manual transmission. Standard spread, which is 1 up, 2 down, up for 3, down for 4, up for 5, and then down for the reverse gear. As most of you can guess or already know, this is a carbureted engine. It's not fuel injected. So this is the air cleaner. It's got the air filter and it sits on top of the carburetor. So that wing nut and stem is going into the top of the carburetor, and then it's just a matter of clicking down the lid over the air filter and you're good to go. I'm going to pop the choke in and see what happens. So you have the engine running without a choke. And now I'm going to back this thing out so I can have a little bit more room to vacuum inside. And you can see there's a few areas, cosmetic mainly, that need to be fixed. This car has extremely good bones, no rust or anything, so definitely worth restoring and getting back to new. You can see here, that's falling apart. I do have a replacement part for that. This is broken, which is very, very typical. It's made of some sort of plastic bakelite. I have a replacement front. And the fender's cracked as well, so I'll show you that. Typical area where these crack. I can either repair this or I can replace it. Either one, it's not very difficult. These are all areas that, due to age, have cracked because it's plastic. And the same holds true for this as well. It's cracked. Once again, it's repairable. I also want to point out, if there is anybody out there that is interested in CRXs, when I bought this from the factory, I special ordered this part, which is unusual to find on CRXs. So normally they don't have this plastic fender. And then these rims, although these will clean up really nicely, are an optional rim that I got for this. So they've been on this car as the primary driving rim forever. 34 years. And they are to me, these are one of the highlights of this vehicle, are these type of rims. So extremely cool, all original. Having the mud flaps on here was also an original option that I put on it, and I'm glad I did, because they are pretty cool and it's nice to have. So all this stuff is going to get fixed, it's going to get painted, and we're going to restore it as close as possible to new. let's have a look around the rest of it. I'm going to turn it off. So just another walk around here. This thing is fully licensed, insured, and ready to go. We got a little bit of issues with this back mud guard, but nothing too really significant. That'll be fixed, of course. And everything else. So that is what, if you were living in 1987, Honda was selling as a two-seater coupe, CRX, unmolested, never been modified or changed since the day it was purchased. And although it's been at my father's house while I've been off working on my career, I'm still the original owner, and it's so cool to see something that I bought when I was 27 years old in this condition in December 2021. So I'm extremely happy to have this vehicle and invest some time and money and getting it back into pristine status. I figure I'm going to invest anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 into this and see where it goes with that. I like it. First car, pretty cool. Okay, now I have to empty some stuff out of it because I'm going to vacuum it up, and I'll do that right now. There is an amazing amount of room in this car, so I'm unloading a lot of Rubbermaid containers and extra stuff, and as you can see in the picture, there's tons of leg room for two people of any size and lots of space for storage. So that was definitely a selling feature of this car at the time. We still got maps in there. Okay, let's check it out. This is before cleaning it. Looks like there was a tree in there or something like that. Seat covers. The actual seats underneath are pretty good still. I won't pull them up, but there's nothing wrong with the seats underneath. Seat covers are just going to keep it in great shape. And you got the hatchback, all original carpet. There's a great look at the dash and everything like that. Nice. It doesn't have the stock radio in, so I'm going to have to figure out where that may be. Nice to know that the warning thing still works. It still has all the original spare tire gear, which is in here. I'll clean this bay up, but it looks pretty darn new in there. Minus a few bits of tree stuff. It's pretty good. And you know, I'm not complaining at all because most of this is superficial stuff. It's nothing major. We'll get it cleaned up as good as possible today. Take it out for a little drive. Let me get the vacuum cleaner set up and I'll do that. just a little bit of a vacuum, this thing is looking way better than it was. So we've got something that looks like a car. Carpets are clean. Carpets are in pretty good shape. It would be great for a shampoo. Now I'm just going to wipe the dash down and a few other parts, and then I'm going to take it out for a ride and bring you guys along. Alright, I'm going to hop in the other side and start on the dash. This is kind of like a barn find at home. A little bit of TLC makes a big difference. That being said, this car had a lot of TLC for the past 34 years. But nobody has decided that they wanted to restore it, and that's what I'm doing. It's got great bones, it's a great little car, and it's going to look really cool. I'm doing super fast job here. It's not going to be the completed job, but my goal is to make it look a little bit more classic before I either ship it to my place, which is across the country, or I'll come back out here in the summertime and drive it back myself, which could be a fantastic adventure. I just found that, which is perfect, and that will go into this far vent there. I'll put that in later. Some miscellaneous junk in here, but I'm going to leave that in. So I hope you guys are enjoying watching this. It's just a quick cleanup, but with that you'll see it's not too difficult to get something that is pretty dirty and dusty, looking back to its cool classic car look. And then I'll start working on improving other things with it. Ultimately, when I get it back home, I'll be taking everything apart and cleaning it so that it is looking like brand new. But you know, since I got it when I was 25 years old, I think it's in really good shape. So that's been a good part of my life that I've owned this, and it's pretty amazing that it's still around and nicely preserved, so that, you know, a lot of other people's cars look a lot worse only after a few years. So I'm happy with it and excited to move on to whatever the next journey with it is going to be. That being said, I haven't forgotten my Corvette projects. And since I'm just visiting over the holidays, I don't have a whole ton of time to restore this thing or get to work on it. So this is just a preliminary touch-up, clean so it looks good, fun and presentable. Let's get this one done, then take it for a quick ride. You really can't beat this product for minimal preparation and really decent results. Big difference. Looks almost new-ish. At home, I have 5 spare CRX seats, so likely be able to find something that works with this. Such a cool dash as well. So I'm going to get my camera set up and we'll take it out for a ride as well. There's your 1987 Honda first generation CRX. So once again, it's going to be a startup, but I'm going to try and film it from inside the car and take it out for a ride. All right, let's get this thing going for a drive. Choke out. Somewhat. Clutch in. Just taking it for a drive around the local neighborhood. Then I'm going to increase the speed on another road through a nice type of old growth forest. And then finally I'm going to wrap up the driving session with a drive along the highway, which I get up to about 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, just to test it out. And everything went fine. So sit back, and if you're interested in a story about this CRX, or the story about this CRX, then stick around as I go for the drive and I'll tell you that story. This CRX I bought in Ottawa, Canada at a small Honda dealer, which is still there. It's called Civic Motors, and it's in Ottawa on Saint Laurent Boulevard, across from a mall that's called the Saint Laurent Shopping Center. It's a really nice neighborhood around here as well. So car wash. Let's take it right up here. Nice to see the indicator lights work. Everything's good. Super hilly area. The total cost of the car, including taxes and freight and interest on the loan, was $14,000-ish, so somewhere around $14,000. And I ended up getting a 3-year loan of $350 a month that I needed to pay for this thing, and after 3 years it was paid for. So this has been bought and paid for 31 years. It was actually quite expensive for a car that size at that time, considering, you know, my annual professional salary at that time was around $23,000 a year. So it was a pretty significant amount of money for a 25-year-old. This car is an original Japanese import, so it was manufactured in Japan and shipped to Canada, where I was able to customize it slightly with the optional rims, the optional silver fender covers, and I also got, which I still have, is a specially shaped Honda CRX roof rack, which is great for skiing and putting other things on. So I've never seen one of those before. It's a specialty item that was sold by Honda for these cars, and it's specifically a Honda CRX shaped fitting roof rack, which is really excellent, and in the next video I'll show you that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a pretty rare first gen CRX in the CRX world. So one owner car since 1987, so that's a pretty long time. Absolutely no rust on this vehicle, absolutely no accidents or bent frame or unibody or whatever you would call it. All the original items are still intact. I'm still looking for the original radio, which I'm not too sure where that is, but I'll find it. And everything has been running perfectly for 34 years. So I think when that's all said and done, based on the options, it's a really unique, one-of-a-kind Honda CRX that is a survivor and is going to be surviving for many years to come. So this car, as I mentioned, was purchased in Ottawa. I also drove it to Nova Scotia, used it there, and I also drove it across Canada back to Vancouver Island, which is where I'm from, and it's essentially been there for the past 20 years or so, which has really contributed to it staying in great shape. So normally this part of the country doesn't get brutal winters. There's not many snow days, there's not any salt on the roads or anything like that to affect it. So it's been living in a good environment to keep this in great shape. So in earlier years I never winter drove it anyway. I had another car that I bought specifically for driving in the winter in those provinces where it snows a lot. The intent when I bought it was probably not to keep it for 34 years, but once I had it for 10 years, I pretty much made the decision that I was going to keep it completely. So here I am with this original single owner Honda first generation CRX that I bought in 1987. It works fine. I'm cruising here at almost 100 kilometers an hour. Although it doesn't look like it, I am. And with that, at home, I also have two other first generation CRXs. I profiled the blue HF model a couple months ago on my channel, and also I'm going to highlight the silver one, which is a 1987 DX, which is identical to this red one, although it's silver and it's blue inside. So I might make a short video to show you where I am with that one as far as the restoration. So that one has stayed in Quebec and Ontario. It's heavily rusted in some areas, and that's what I'm repairing. So I'm doing a lot of welding and grinding. I'm halfway through, and maybe I will do an update video on that and show you guys where I am with the rebuild of that one. So I'm really thankful to have this red one in such awesome condition. It's been in our family for so long that it's nice to have it, and now we're going to bring it just a little bit better to looking like it's in awesome condition. I think with any older vehicle where you know the story, you know the history of it, just makes it a little bit more interesting in terms of a project and in terms of knowing what has happened to that particular vehicle and why it is where it is today. Alright, this is the final walk around for this video. Sprayed that down a little bit at the car wash as well, and the old engine bay is looking great considering, so not too hard to get it back up to decent near new quality in the future. And I also cleaned out inside these things too, so the good thing is those things exist, which some CRXs you can't get those anymore. So there it is, everybody. Hey everyone, that concludes this video on the quick cleaning of this Honda CRX. It's a 1987, so basically was a wash and a vacuum out inside, and check it out, go for a drive as well. So like I said, original owner got this thing looking pretty good in one afternoon, and there's going to be more videos on this, so I'm going to be bringing this thing back to looking as new as possible. So this is the first introductory video of this. You kind of know what I'm working with, and I hope you enjoyed it. So if you did, hit the like button, consider subscribing, really appreciate it, and stick around for another one, and hopefully get one out to you guys very, very soon. Thanks a lot, you guys. Bye.